This episode is brought to you by CarterComics.com. It's your one-stop shop for all your comic needs, whether it be graded or raw. Carter Comics has got it all. All you gotta do is go to CarterComics.com, fill your card up with all their amazing comics. Use the discount code FREAKNET, FREAKNET. Save you 10% at checkout. Not only on their website, but also at their eBay account. And the link to eBay can be found on their homepage at CarterComics.com. Again, CarterComics.com is your one-stop shop for all comic needs.
What's up, everybody? I am Travesty.
And I'm Cartoon Joe.
And welcome back to another episode of This Freakin Show. It is the weekly podcast, a little bit of something and a whole lot of nothing. And I think officially we could say that this is our first episode following what would have been our 9-year anniversary.
Wow.
Of the show.
Wild.
Right? Yeah. So happy anniversary, Joe.
Yeah, thanks. You too.
Yeah. I know it really doesn't mean much as far as like, I guess anything really. I don't know anyone's going to send us a gift for it. It would have been nice, you know. Maybe some people were like recognizing that and acknowledging that would have been nice. You send a gift. But how you doing, Joe?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. I keep going back and forth from being sick. I don't like. I know it's not bronchitis again, but like, I woke up the other morning and my throat was like killing me, as if like maybe I got like strep or like cold or something. But like, it kind of like went away. So I was like, oh, maybe it just I fell asleep with my mouth open or some shit. I don't know. Like I'm also been going to the chiropractor a lot, and this dude is wild. And, it's wild and a good thing. He does this weird. I don't even know how to describe it, but I don't know. Like he plays keyboards on the back of my head. Like
right.
You know, like when people like, you know, like they strum a guitar and find out which one's out of tune so they can adjust it. Like that's what he does. That's what he does in like the back of my head. He's like, I'm gonna push in these 6 spots. And you tell me which spot hurts the most. And somehow he does it, and I'm able to poop better. I don't understand like what he's doing, but something feels like it's working.
Weird.
And not the most recent appointment, but the one before that. So last Saturday, apparently we were working on like complete body, like I don't even know a non-gross word, but basically like discharge of like pores, nasal, bowel, like kidney, everything. And ever since then, things have just been running out of me.
All right.
There's just no easier way to explain. Yeah, so I think this is all good. It's just at the same time, it just kind of sucks.
Gotcha.
I feel like crap. How are you?
I'm all right. We've been passing a cold back and forth in our house for like 3 weeks too. But
I can hear it.
I'm better off than Maddie is because she coughed so hard the other day she like threw her neck out.
Dude, that's kind of like how I feel sometimes, like when I'm laying in bed and I'm getting ready to go to bed, and I'm just like kind of like just checking on stuff online real quick, like social medias and stuff, and you know, because I'm I don't know, I want to watch our views and downloads and stuff on YouTube slowly go up because I don't know, I guess I'm measuring success based on that. Who knows?
Yeah.
But if I cough, I have to like be very careful because I don't want to throw my lower back out. So it's
Yeah.
like Yeah, it's just like if I get to a panic mode where I just start coughing anyways, it's like I don't even know why I tried that.
Yeesh.
But I'm hoping working with this guy, and yes, if anyone who's watching this, taking my morning vitamins as we do this. Because it's the morning, and that's what we do.
I'm straight.
I'm hoping with this guy, and like, because what I found out with my insurance through work is that I got 25 visits with a chiropractor a year, and
Nice.
it's completely covered. It's like a $20 copay. So I found a chiropractor. God, what's his name? Dr. Eric Eggert. He's in Frankfurt, and it's weird because when I found out I could go to a chiropractor and it's covered by my insurance 25 times in a year, I'm just like, well, how's bells? I might as well actually utilize them, And they renew at the beginning of the year. So I was like, okay, cool. So I started searching chiropractors, like ones that are in network, but within like 10 miles or whatever. And I came across like, I think like 5 of them. And I was like, okay, cool. So here are my top 5 now. I'll just kind of start researching them and stuff like that. And I was reading about them, looking about them, but I never really made a decision about it. And it got completely like spaced. I completely spaced on it. But I saved each one of their websites as a bookmark on my phone so I could go back and look at them when I decide to. I'm on Instagram the other day because I like to thumb through the reels and everything. And every once in a while, you get like a random, video based on what you watch because Meta's watching you. It's just how the world works now.
Right, right.
Well, it must have known that I was looking at chiropractors because one of the guys who popped up on my feed was Dr. Eric Eggert. And I was like, okay, that's kind of unique. I'm watching him doing like the back manipulation and cracking people's spines and all this stuff. And he's talking a little bit about, chiropractor and back health and all this everything. Okay, that's kind of interesting. So I look him up because it says Frankfurt, and it turns out he's one of the 5 guys that I was looking at as a potential chiropractor to go to. And
nice.
He seemed easygoing. He seemed very personable. He seemed like the kind of guy that I could have a conversation with. And I was like, he seems like the kind of guy I could have my personality around. Not many people get my personality.
Sure.
This dude's amazing. He's a younger guy, but he is easy to talk to. He explains everything. He basically acts like your buddy, which I appreciate, especially from a young kid. Sometimes that's just a pain in the ass and patronizing, but it's not this dude. He's awesome. So we agreed because I have all these visits to go twice a week for the next 6 weeks, and then following the new year, every other week.
Nice.
Yeah. So my hopes is to do this. I got a actual doctor's appointment coming up at the end of the month. They can figure out more of the chemical imbalance issues, and maybe all this stuff will kind of get together. And maybe, who knows, maybe on my birthday next year, or maybe by Christmas of next year, there'll just be less of me on the screen.
Nice.
Yeah, dude, health is no joke. And for those of you who don't take your health seriously, don't do what I do. Take it seriously, because I'm an extremely overweight 35-year-old former smoker that has breathing issues and miserable. Physically miserable. Word. Emotionally and personally, I'm okay. I'm good. Just always tired in the morning, which sucks. But I'm an adult. I can take a nap later on, so we're good.
Right.
The rest of you got shit you got to do, and I don't care. It sucks.
Yeah. Pulling that all day, or
Joe, do you have an idea of what you wanted to talk about today?
No, I got nothing.
I know we could talk about the election stuff, but I know that's kind of been talked about ad nauseum. I guess there are a couple things I heard, didn't read, heard. I guess I want your opinion on, because you may or may not know better than I do. So it's official as of right now. Our 45th president is now our 47th president.
Yep.
People are blaming people, and I'm kind of confused by it. And again, it's what I hear, not what I read. I heard people blaming Biden, saying that it was his fault for even announcing he was going to run for a second term because it didn't allow them time to decide on a replacement when he decided not to run. I read now again heard. I don't want to say read because I want to be legit about this because if I'm wrong about something, it's because I hear it. I didn't read it. So I also heard that the Democratic Party feels they definitely should have done a vote to determine the next candidate, not appointed. Which I think we talked about that. That was kind of a interesting concept, kind of a unique
yeah, some kind of super primary or whatever.
Something, yeah. Because what they did wasn't the norm, I guess. It was
right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, nothing about what would have happened would have been the norm at that point in the race.
I guess what I'm looking for, in your opinion, like, is there one person truly to blame for it, and where did it go wrong?
Yeah, I don't think there's one person to blame necessarily. There are people who like. I feel like Biden is somewhat more to blame than others. My biggest contention for that is like, he said he was going to be a transition president. He never explicitly said it'd only be one term, but it was really heavily implied in multiple speeches. Yeah. And then you look at the internals from his campaign that are leaking, and you find out that like going into that first debate that was the end of his campaign, his internals said he was going to lose the electoral college by like Trump was going to get 400 electoral votes, which would be an insane blowout.
What's the total?
535.
535. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it comes out to what, 269 a piece. Like if it was to go to like a dead end tie, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you're good. Yeah, or 538. I'm sorry, not 530. 523. 538. Because that's how you get to the tie. You're right. Regardless, he was going to lose by 400, or not by 400, but it was going to be 400 to whatever the difference is, 136. Which like that's like Reagan won every state but Michigan in 1980.
I went back and I was kind of looking at like the variances in some elections. It might have been Reagan. I mean, I did it the night or the Wednesday after the election, so my memory is garbage. So even I don't remember it, but I kept going back, and it's wild to think because like when I look at the election, like how it ended up, and I think it was 314 to 200 or whatever ended up on this one. Yeah. Like I was like what are the norms and variances? And it seems a lot of the times like the winners are 300, but it is rare that you ever get the 400. I think maybe Clinton had a 400 win. Maybe Obama in the second run. Was it 08?
Second run. I thought he did better in 08 than 12.
I can't. No, he had to. Yeah, because he didn't run against Bush because Bush was done. So maybe it was 08. Who the hell did he? Romney, right? Was that in 08?
Yeah. Romney was 12. McCain was 08. He got to 365 in 08. Let's see, 12. And they only got to 332 in 2012.
Okay. So in the first one he did well. Clinton, is it always the first one? I can't remember because I guess I could really honestly look if I really wanted to.
I think generally, yes, it is the first one you do better in because like by the time you're done with 4 years, people are basically they're either voting to keep you or voting to get rid of you.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not that excitement there's not that excitement for change, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing that changes things.
I don't think people like the same shit. Like they want something different.
Yeah. Which I think that was the biggest problem with the Harris campaign, in my opinion, was that, when she was asked directly, what's going to be difference between your president, your administration and the Biden administration, she's like, nothing. It's going to be the exact same. And it's like, boy, that's not what people are looking for.
There were definitely, I think, some situations in certain interviews where it didn't pan out right. But I mean, the thing is, I'm trying to do two things at once, and we know I'm not good at that. We've always kind of talked about the unfortunate part about elections lately, especially the past three. It's been more focused on the negatives of the opposites of the other side than the positives that you could bring yourself.
Yeah.
And it seems like they tried to get away from that a little bit this time around, but it was still there.
Yeah, they were only good about it at the beginning of the campaign and at the very end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so and it's just like, and that's another thing where I'm like, to me, I want to blame Biden because it was there wasn't enough time to switch over campaign staff, and so she was stuck with the losing campaign staff that Biden already had. Like, these are people who were like, they were already planning their next career while trying to get Biden to lose. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. And then the other part of her campaign were people who lost in 2016 with Clinton. And it's just like, why would you run the same people who lost last time? Why would you run the same exact campaign that lost last time?
Did you see there was a video that was out there that they compared, and it's funny you mentioned that because now I'm kind of curious as far as like is that a concession speech? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay. That if you listen to Clinton's concession speech and Harris's, like they're almost the same. Like they were the same plot. They're the same points that were made. Like almost verbatim, the exact same verbiage on certain things. It's kind of wild. Like, I mean, it could just be like, I'm sure if you look at every concession speech, they probably all hit the same points. Like, This isn't what we wanted, but this is what we're getting. We gotta make sure we stand tall. So I'm sure the same key points are probably hit. But it was just wild. Like when they were showing Hillary talking, she said something, and then Kamala talked, and then she said something, and it was almost like a mirror image response. I was like, that's kind of wild. But it's weird because, like, when you mentioned, the same people running the campaign, it's like, well, I think a lot of those people are getting their speeches written by somebody. If not, at least somebody reading what they have and kind of adjusting it accordingly.
Yeah. Yeah. By and large, nobody writes their own speeches. It would just take too much time. And I get that.
Oh, yes. 365.
And then my other feeling is like, and this is another one, it comes back to Biden, but like, Merrick Garland is like the slowest Department of Justice Attorney General ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like he really wanted to run out the clock. He wasn't actually interested in, I mean, you're making the case politically that Trump is this threat to democracy. There was a putsch and on January 6th, which is a sort of attempted insurrection where he tries to hold on to power. You're making that claim in the first 100 days of your presidency, and then you turn around and you hire Merrick Garland because like it makes. Yeah, and I'll admit it. There was a part of me that was like, yeah, you didn't want him as your Supreme Court justice. Now he's going to be the AG. Stupid, really stupid. Pick someone who's going to actually do something. Pick somebody with a spine. And litigate your case, right? Like, don't take 4 years to litigate your case if it's a case that is worth litigating, and that was my other thing is like, if Merrick Garland had gone through the actual full process of everything and not let the clock run out, there's a chance Trump would be in jail instead of president in a couple of weeks.
It's interesting how everything kind of panned out the way it did, like with the whole so he's convicted.
And there again, maybe he's not convicted, and maybe he's still president in a few weeks, but at least the wheels of justice were turned.
Yeah, there could have been a resolution to it, not a let's wait and see. It's like, well, what are you waiting and seeing for? Like are you in the hopes of like maybe this will kind of all blow over, or are you in the hopes of like I get to send a president to jail? Like is it an ego thing at that point where you're like,
right?
It's like, I mean, I could have a sitting president put in jail. It's like it just would have been easier if they just kind of got everything finalized before everything happened. And I know like a lot of people, not a lot of people, again, certain people that are like they think that that Biden's gonna pardon Trump on his stuff, and they also believe that Trump's going to pardon Hunter on his stuff.
Okay.
Like they're gonna do this whole like
a pardon swap.
Yeah, kind of like a good faith, like out the door kind of thing. And I know they recently did their sit down congratulation transition thing, which I mean it is commendable. I think the fire was a little bit louder than them, and so whoever was setting up those, whoever set up those microphones, you know, I think gave the fireplace mic a little bit too much gains. It's going to be interesting to see what the next few months is. I don't believe everyone on the right saying that there's going to be another insurrection. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're in the I think we're in the moment where everything is just like, hey, this is what we're going to have. Let's kind of just move forward with it. It honestly, again, it's just from me. This moment seems like the most peaceful moment after an election that we've had in a few years.
Yeah.
Which I think is a great feeling. You know, it's like it almost feels like there's like a calmness coming, and I'm hoping it's not like a calm before the storm. It's just like a general calmness. Like it's like, okay, we got the results. I know there's I think the House, there's some couple elections still.
The House has a few.
Everything.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but as
there
far
were
as
a couple of seats in California that were really close yesterday with thousands of votes left to count.
Why do you think the votes in Illinois were closer than normal? That was kind of unique to me. Like
I didn't even notice.
So I don't remember what it was in previous, but this election, Trump only lost by 8%, and I think before that it was like almost double-digit loss.
Wow.
And I know a lot of people are kind of curious on the fact like there were so many less votes this year this election compared to last election. So it's like, did people really not come out to this one? Why did so many less people vote in this one compared to 2020? And I think a lot of that reflects like in Illinois itself. Like I said, like because Illinois has always been blue for as long as I think Reagan was the last red. If that so. maybe yeah. So
and I think only the first time. I'm not sure it went for him the second time.
Yeah. So I'm sure Bush didn't win one, and obviously but so it's just like since then, like is Illinois ever going to be red? I don't think. I mean, anything's possible. The world's topsy-turvy as it is. But it's like why did so many people choose not to vote this time around compared to 2020?
Yeah, I think a lot of people. Oh, it did go red both times for Reagan. Wow, that's impressive. Yeah, I think a lot of people were just not excited by this election. I think when the people who want change voted for Trump, the people who didn't want Trump voted for Harris, and everyone else stayed home. I think that's really what it came down to.
Yeah, it was wild too because like a lot, and I don't know why I keep saying like what I saw because anyway. So what I saw or what I've seen and everything was a lot of people like when they went to the elections, they just voted for president. They didn't even fill out the remaining card.
Yeah, which is very unusual, especially on the Republican side of the ballot.
Yeah, it's like it's goofy. I mean, elections. I mean, I remember voting for the first time in 2008, and it seemed a lot smoother, a lot easier. Like I remember walking in, filling out the thing, putting the ballot thing in, and calling it a day. And you watch on TV, and by like 10, 11 o'clock, everything's done. I took off work that Wednesday because I was like, I need to take the vacation days. There's no other real day I could take. Let's just see what happens. And I think by the time, I think I stayed awake until Trump did his speech. At that time, I don't think Arizona was called, or Michigan, Nevada. I don't think Alaska was. I think he was still like, I'm sorry,
just Pennsylvania, I think.
Yeah, I think he was literally one electoral vote away from winning it. And MSNBC, like they're talking about because after a while I was getting exhausted, so I was just started watching it on Peacock laying in bed. I was watching I was thumbing back and forth between Fox and CNN and everything, and by that time I'm gonna go lay down. Hopefully something gets called, something happens. I was kind of bummed that Kamala went home, without even saying anything. I was like, They at least come out and say, "Hey, nothing's gonna get called tonight." Like you, I mean, like be that leader that that has the expectation.
Yeah.
Don't send somebody else out. Like I mean, at least from my perspective, if that's the norm, that's the norm. But in my mind,
I think it is the norm, but I do agree. I think it shouldn't be the norm. Like
if you're the leader,
yes, exactly. That's exactly how I feel about it. Like and especially if you're gonna like, it's the campaign of joy or whatever.
Mhm.
Like then it's your job to say, okay, well, joy isn't enough to get us through tonight. Let's go home, regroup, see what the count is tomorrow.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that would mean more to people hearing it from that. That'd be like if and I guess on the lowest format, like if I had an announcement to make as part of Freakin' Studios and I had Ashley come and do it for me.
Yeah.
It's like yes, it's awesome that somebody that works for you is coming out to make this announcement, but I think it matters more if it comes from you yourself to, hey, don't give up hope. Hey, we're not out of it yet. It looks gloomy, but there's always darkness before the sunrise or whatever. Blah blah blah. Whatever it is, it's just be that positive outlook that people are expecting. Don't send some random not random dude, but don't send some dude out there saying like, Kamala went home. You guys should too.
Right. Yeah.
Come on. It's like I thought that was a bummer. And then I heard something about how like she's like I'm not sure if it's her or somebody owes like millions of dollars.
That's what I heard. The campaign owes that. Yeah, I don't understand how that's possible.
I thought they're all donations.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that.
Well, and they're the first campaign to collect $1 billion in donations. So I don't understand how there's still money owed.
Yeah, that's when I heard that, I was kind of like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like if you're donated the money for the campaign, and I know that any unused funds is, I think, retained until the next campaign or whatever it is, because it's a donation not to Harris, it's a donation
to the
party. Yeah. So it's just like I don't understand like the whole idea of her or somebody, the campaign or whoever, owing money to backers or whoever you call them. And that just never made sense to me either. There's so many unique things that happened that's new to me that I've never really heard of before.
Yeah. So I just searched the campaign debt thing because I've not looked into it at all. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
But looks like that was a big story 2 days ago, was like finance mismanagement claims. How did Harris's campaign rack up debt after record fundraising? And then 18 hours ago, Bloomberg came out with an article that says, and I'm just reading headlines just to be clear, so I don't know what the details are, but their headline is Harris campaign, Democratic Party ended election with no debt. So maybe it was just stuff hadn't been paid yet up until
like an unpaid invoice or some. Yeah. I mean, that's considered debt, so that makes sense. Yeah, they just had to finish some stuff up. So this was also. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying I can't find out about it because it's paywalled. So I don't want to pay Bloomberg money to read their article.
God, no. Definitely. I think one of the more like pop culture, social based campaigns. I mean, obviously, like with Harris utilizing a lot of R&B musicians and Trump using professional wrestlers. Dude, I think the one thing that may have helped Harris, I get that. Actually, that's like I don't know why she did it. I know there's a reason out there. I just don't know what it is. That she was invited to do Joe Rogan and she turned it down. I think that may have helped her, kind of humanize her more with the Midwesterners that she was growing towards.
Yeah,
I don't know why she didn't do that interview, because honestly I never saw a lot of presidential candidates doing podcasts. It's always televised interviews, ABC, NBC, Fox and all that stuff. But seeing like, Trump doing like Theo Vaughn and Joe Rogan, he did the Undertaker's podcast, and I think Kamala may have done a couple podcasts.
She did call her daddy or call your daddy or whatever. I don't know the podcast.
No,
which is it's the second biggest podcast after Joe Rogan, but.
No, I know she did one. I guess it's just hard to like. Are they considered podcasts or they considered web series or? Yeah,
right.
So it was just unique that she didn't do Joe Rogan, because I think that would have, like I said, like humanized her against towards Midwesterners, which I know was because when you look at what she's won the coast, but as you get inwards, it's like it's that small little strip, then that's it. Like it could have helped her won like Wisconsin, Pennsylvania stuff, maybe. I mean,
Yeah,
possibly,
but
maybe.
like the I will say, and this is my biggest complaint about her campaign, pretty much since the DNC. Like once the DNC was over, I was like, okay, this is not going to be a campaign that's for me. I'm going to hold my nose and vote for her because I don't really want Trump back. But whatever, they're trying to get their base or whatever. But then like it went from we're trying to capture the Democratic base to like we're trying to get the moderate Republican.
Yeah.
And it's just like moderate Republicans, by and large, in my experience, vote for their party or stay home. They don't want to vote for a Democrat. Like, why are you going after those votes and abandoning your base? Go for your base. And the problem is, like, her base, she would have had to have a substantial answer to any question. She had a substantial answer to a few questions. I think her abortion answer was fine. I think some of her economic plans were pretty good once you got into them. But anything else, like if you got into questions of like, what do you actually believe? What do you care about? What matters to you? She had the most boilerplate, middle of the road non-answer available. And if she had done Rogan, I think that would have been so obvious because he's the guy like for all of Rogan's faults. He is such a blank slate of an interviewer in a lot of ways that if you don't have an answer,
Oh yeah.
He's gonna show that. He's gonna reveal it because his what I've noticed about his interview style is most of what he does is reflect back to you whatever you're bringing.
Yeah, and there's a slight gotcha journalism in it.
Yeah.
Like, and I know a lot of people don't like it, and I'm okay with it. I like when you could like watch an interview and like somebody brings up something you said or did, and just have the person justify it. Because I understand the idea of like, because I think one of the things that would be brought up if Harris was to do it, which it'd be interesting because I'd be curious myself, is obviously her opinion changed a lot. Everyone's opinions change over the years and stuff. I think
Right.
fracking was one of the big ones. Was where when she originally tried to run in 2016, or well, Harris in 2016.
Right. Yeah.
Or was it 2020? I'm sorry. Did she run into? Did she not run for 2016? She ran for 2020.
Correct. Yeah, she ran for Senate
Okay.
in 2016.
Okay, so in 2020, she said that she was against fracking, and then she did this one where she now wasn't against fracking, and I think Rogan would have brought that up.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I think the hard thing, especially when you're in a campaign, is to be honest.
Right.
Because you have to be honest in the right way, and that's maybe at that point she could say, "Listen, back then, I saw it as I didn't like it, I didn't agree with it, but now after I reviewed it,
Right.
I learned it. Maybe this is a benefit." And like those are good ways to answer. The problem I kind of had with some of her interviews is when people like audience would ask questions, like I want to say like maybe 75% of the time when she was asked about like government funding or government aid or people like maybe like getting like help financially and stuff, she'd always start with the single mother raising kids, and like it was the same. And the thing is, like, it's an amazing story, and I have such a huge respect for single moms and everything, 100%.
Yeah.
The problem was when she told that story, it was so rehearsed that the cadence and how it was told was the same way. Everything it didn't change.
Yeah, it
And
lost its authenticity.
yeah, and that was the biggest problem because she told the exact same thing in every single interview. And when she was doing at the very beginning, when she was doing very little interviews, and then she hit the ground running and doing interview after interview after interview, and then that moment comes up, you start hearing it's like it almost sounds rehearsed, and that's when it doesn't sound authentic.
Yeah,
so
I think that's fine if you have 100 days to run your campaign. You can't treat it like the first 100 days of a 6-month long campaign.
Yeah.
You don't have time. You gotta do it as like you have 100 days. You spend the first 3 weeks maybe maximum doing the rehearsed canned not a non-answer, but like we're not trying. We want to be the story by not changing the story. and then after that, it's time to change the story a little bit.
Mhm.
You have to be the story if you want to win. And yeah, after the first couple of weeks of her campaign, she pivoted right to the center, right to, I'm just going to be Joe Biden 2.0. Nothing special, nothing unique, nothing's going to separate me from him. And it's like, even though I think that you can look at the numbers and see inflation is coming down. The thing is that we haven't hit a point of deflation. You can't really hit deflation without a recession. So prices are never going to go back down unless we have a recession. And the thing is like you have these like nerdy policy wonk types like Will Stansel, which if you don't know who Will Stansel is, you'll sleep better at night. You don't need to know who he is. He's just a guy on politics Twitter who is really annoying. Tried to run for a seat in Minnesota, lost, didn't even win the primary. So pretty irrelevant person, but he's very annoying. And his whole thing is like, but the numbers say that like the people at the bottom had the greatest wage increase. And the thing is like, so if you're making $7.25 an hour and you get a 100% wage increase, you're still only making $14.50 an hour.
Yeah.
But your rent went from $750 to $2,100.
Yeah.
That's not enough. Less than $15 an hour is not enough to pay rent at $2,100 a month without a roommate.
Look at I don't know what your auto insurance is doing, but mine's getting ridiculous, man. It's like I was bitching about it like a few months back, and it was $18 cheaper than it is now.
Yeah.
And from what everyone's telling me is that auto insurance is going to keep gradually increase because of the cost of the payouts that they had to do because of the hurricanes that hit Florida. And it's like, listen, with all due respect to Florida, and I sympathize with them and I wish them well, what the fuck does Florida's hurricane have to do with me in Illinois?
Right.
I'm sorry, but I get that State Farm is a nationwide company and everything everywhere affects everything. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to put that business into different categories or quadrants or whatever, because whatever happens in the Southeast shouldn't dictate how much I'm paying in the Midwest. Like,
yeah.
Like at the same time, if a tornado came through and blew through my town, I wouldn't expect New York to be affected by that. It's like,
right.
It's like, why am I paying $60 more a month because somewhere something else happened? It's like, that's not right. And yes, like when it comes to wages and everything, like I understand that you can't do wages the same across the board because
right.
I mean the cost of living in California, I think, is 7 times it is here.
That sounds right to me, but I don't know if it's true.
I looked at in 2017, I think it was 7 times. It could be completely different now. But I remember like in 2017 when I was offered a job out in California after I got laid off here at Intertech, a guy out there offered me a job and I told him, yeah, but the thing is I can't come out there for the same pay. Because making what I'm making in Illinois, out in California, I wouldn't be able to live. I'd have to live in a van, you know. And when he asked me how much I need, I look at the cost of living difference. I think maybe it was actually more like 5 or 6. And I told him like what I'm making here, I'd have to make this here in California. I never heard from him again. But that's how business works. They don't want to pay you what you need to pay in order to get by. And I think that's a joke. I did like the idea. And I think this is the pettiness in me. I did like the idea of her giving money to new homeowners, new parents, and new business owners. And I think that's a great idea. But I also think that current homeowners, current business owners, and current parents also need some kind of relief. Just something. And I don't think that they were ever really brought up or mentioned. I think that's the part that sucks. Like I'm sure like there are plans in place that already help them. But if you recognize that, then that gives because people like me are saying like, well, that's great for the new parents. When I become a new parent, I would love that. But I've owned my home for 9 years. What's helping me?
Yeah, it's like GCR. Anytime, I don't know if he still is, but he used to be a DirecTV customer.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime there was a new deal for sign up for DirecTV and you get, this sports package, he'd call him up and he'd say, hey, how about that sports package? And they say, well, you're not a new customer. And he'd say, well, no, but I've been a customer for 10 years. And if you want to keep my business, what are you going to do that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's kind of the same thing. I think the Democrats, they just, their long-term policies are generally really pretty good. If you look at it like from a 10-year, 20-year standpoint. But the thing is that like people are suffering now. And there was no urgency to meet the people's needs of now. And that, you know, and Trump, I don't think Trump will meet those needs, but he at least was saying he'd try.
And I think that's where the difference was. It's like, it's, God, how do you explain it? So they said it looked like when Harris was doing stuff, like she was getting stuff ready for the future of this country.
Yeah.
You know, like, but people like you and I, when we sit on this podcast and bitch about how expensive things are, it's like, so do we not get any of those benefits? Like,
right. Yeah, we'll get those benefits eventually, but like,
right. Yeah. It's like, it goes back to when I was getting into JJC and I needed to get financial aid. And they told me that I couldn't get financial aid because I still lived at home with my parents. And I was like, yeah, but I'm the one paying for college. And like, well, it doesn't matter because you live at home and everything. It's like, yeah, but I'm the one paying for college. What does my parents' income have to do with me if I'm paying for it? It's like, well, the only way you get it is if you live on your own or if you're a single dad. And I was like, so you're telling me the only way to get financial aid is to knock somebody up? Like that's what I need to do now. In order to get financial aid, I need to put myself in such more financial burden in order to get the financial aid. And the dude, at least he was honest with me. He's like, honestly, I know it's a crazy concept, but yes, technically that's what it is. I'm like, that's insane. Especially like when you come from like a family like ours, you know, and like, you know, I get that we're a blended family. So in a sense, we have like 3 individual families. Yeah. But you're talking about across 3 individual families, you have like what? 9 children? And you're
10.
telling me 10 children? You're telling me that financially 3 individual families are going to be able to put 10 children through college if all 10 children were to go to college in the span of what? From 30 at the time, so 36 down to what's youngest? Ashley at 25. So 11-year span. So that means every year somebody's going to college, and you're saying, oh, well, you know what? We'd love to help you, but your parents have a job.
Right.
That's
and then you throw in the fact that my mom would have definitely screwed you guys as much as she could.
but that's what's wild, man.
You know.
I love you for that. It's just, but that's the wild thing, man. It's just like I get that she, like I said, I felt that she was really trying to get the vote of the Midwest. Yeah. But I think she missed the mark. Like, I don't, I mean,
I think, well, she did the same thing that all coastal elites do. And she assumed that like, that there was an ideological connection to our political goals. Yeah. And the thing is that like the vast majority of Midwesterners I've ever talked to, you know, there are a few old timers who are like, you know, my father was a Republican, I'm a Republican, my kids will be Republicans, I'm going to do that till I die. But like the vast majority of people our age, and we're the majority of the electorate now, millennials, like we're the boomers now in terms of how many of us there are. We care about what are you going to do for me? Yeah. You know, we'll vote. You know, it's not like a you have to buy our votes kind of a thing. But we like it. We don't care about labels so much. Like we're legitimately the generation that tried to do away with labels. You know.
Yeah. Well, see, and that's the thing. Like, if you go one step closer, like you said, like what are you going to do for me? You go one step closer. Like how are you going to help me?
Right. Yeah. How are you going to help me? We're dying out here, man.
Right. I mean, like, and every side, everybody has always talked about relief for college debt or student loans and stuff like that. It's like that's not happening through as much as they claim it to be. I know that there's been some, which is always great. Like anything's better than nothing.
It's still less than 1%.
Yeah, but still, like they boasted like Joe, come tomorrow, you're gonna get a letter that says you have no more debt. That's how it's pushed.
Yeah,
and things like that just aren't happening, you know. And people are saying they sit there and they talk about, you know, people are going to be able to start up businesses. People are going to be able to pay off their houses. People are going to be able to pay off their student loans. They're going to be able to buy vehicles and get medicine. It's like awesome. but you're doing it on a smaller scale than you're promising, because that's not the case. Some
Right.
people still have
Well,
insulin issues. Some people are
Yeah.
still looking at buying used vehicles for $20,000. It's
right. Yeah, you're not using like you have what do I want to say? Like why this is like to Joe Biden specifically. Why did
Mhm.
you want to be president if you didn't want to use the presidential power to get anything done?
Yeah.
Like that's what it comes down to for me is like you are literally in a position where almost anything you could possibly want to happen could feasibly happen because you're the president of the United States. And instead of making things happen, you tried to put it through the processes that we all hate. The reason Trump got in 2016 in the first place is because it was, I think truly it was a rejection of this idea that we have to do things by the book and by the system because the system doesn't work for the vast majority of people. And I just think like why would you go back to that? Especially campaign Joe Biden from 2020 made so many promises, and I think he kept none of them, maybe one or two. And it's what are you supposed to do with that? How are we supposed to trust you? How are we supposed to trust the person who says who is now up there making all the same promises and more, but also says they're going to be you the second time with a second go?
I think one of her biggest downfalls was when the one interviewer, I can't remember who it was, said, "How are you going to separate yourself from Joe Biden?" And she responds, "I don't think I have to."
Right.
Like that right there is like, it's like, I don't care who you are, you need to be you. Like even if Joe did a fantastic job,
Right.
you still got to come in and say, listen, what he did was great, and we're going to utilize some of the things he's already put in place. But there are some things we still need to work on. We still have more work to do. And that was one of the things she said. We still have work to do. It's like, awesome. What is it?
What is the work?
Like, yeah. What are we gonna do? It's like again, and when she would do,
where are you gonna go farther than him? Where did he go too far? Like,
right?
Criticize your boss, man. Criticize your boss.
Oh yeah, you go in there. Well, me anyways. I've worked in industries where you get annual reviews, and nobody's ever a 5 out of 5. No one's ever a 10 out of 10. Right. Because there's always room for improvement. There's always something.
Yeah, but that is one way where I do think I can't prove this one. This is just my gut instinct based on what actually happened. I think that Joe Biden's ego is so big that Harris, he would have done everything in his power to crash her campaign if she had turned on him. And the reason I think that is because of the first whole day and most of the second day of the 3-day Democratic National Convention or nominating convention were all thank you, Joe Biden, thank you, Joe Biden, thank you, Joe Biden for stepping down. And I think if it were not for his hubris, her campaign would not have fallen as badly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I think. I don't know. And it's also reflected in like now in some of the postmortems, you see like the internal polling that his campaign was doing that said the writing was on the wall. And then you have like Nancy Pelosi coming out and being like, yeah, it's Joe Biden's fault. He said he was going to be a one-term guy and then he didn't do that. I really, and I look at the way how careful she was in between when he stepped down and when Harris was nominated. She was very careful in her language, and she's a savvy politician. For all of her faults and for as many critiques as I have of Nancy Pelosi, she knows what the fuck she's doing when it comes to politics. Oh. Like she's very careful in how she talks, and so I really truly think like Harris probably felt like she could not run from Biden because his ego wouldn't have allowed it. That's my feeling. It's my gut feeling. I can't prove it. But that's what I would have done if I were her. I would have the second maybe I would have waited till the nominating convention. But the second the nominating convention was over, I'm out of here.
You gotta be individualist. You can't be Biden light, and and I can kind of see where you're coming from with that, because I mean Joe's been in politics since the 70s, 80s, whatever the hell.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, at one point, the oldest president in history was the youngest senator in history.
Right.
That's how long he's been in office. That's how long he's been around. So it's like, I think his, wanting to go out on a high and make sure like people are going to remember who I am, it would make sense. And if that's the case, if anything you're theorizing is true, then there's a problem within the party.
Right.
And that's something that needs to, go back to the drawing board. Hey, we didn't win the championship this year, but next year, we got this. Like, we need to go because I don't know. It could have been very recent. Maybe it was Obama. I don't think it was Biden or Trump. But I mean, when was the last time that an entire party held the president, the House, and the Senate? It was Biden or not Biden? Obama, right?
Yeah. Well, so
it wasn't that long ago, but
you could say technically for Biden's first 2 years.
Okay.
But it was 50-50 in the Senate. So like the only reason you could say technically is because the vice president's, that's the only time, by the way, that's the other thing is so many people are like, well, but you're in power now and you haven't done anything. The vice presidency can't do anything. It is the most useless position in all of politics. The job of the vice president is to not die. That's it. That's their job. So the only other thing they do is cast ties in the case of a tie or cast votes in case of a tie in the Senate. And it has only ever happened, to my knowledge, the first 2 years of the Biden presidency are the only time in the history of the United States that the vice president has had to cast a tie or cast a vote in the case of a tie.
Oh, yeah. The vice president's like the sixth man on the basketball team.
Right. Yeah.
You're there to go in when the other person's incapable of doing, which I think a lot of people thought that that was going to happen. And not so much of like Biden passing away, but, his ability to run office. And we started kind of slowly seeing that, and I guess it really makes sense to begin with. I mean, I guess if they wanted to just cut out the middleman, like instead of just saying, hey, Kamala is going to run for the next term from vice president, I was like, fuck it, just pull Joe out of there, announce her as a new president, and now your sitting president is going to be running. And then maybe in the, I don't know, I guess it would still technically be 100 days, which probably be a little bit still rough. Maybe she does do a couple things that she would want to do, and people can kind of see like, well, she's kind of able to kind of show up a little bit. Okay, good. So now we could say, because yes, she wasn't in a position to be much as far as like what she's capable of doing from like a presidential side, if there was a presidential side. So
yeah. So it has happened 301 times in history. That a vice president has had to cast a tie-breaking vote.
Oh, okay.
But she did it. She's done it the most.
Which was that, like 30?
33, yeah. 33.
Look at
the most. The next one was John C. Calhoun back in 1832 with 31.
30. They even have 31 things to vote on back then.
Right, that's what it feels like.
That's insane. But
Mike Pence did it 13 times. I had no idea. I'll be dipped. All right, so it's happened a lot more often than I thought. That's cool.
Okay. Well, regardless,
it's a mostly useless position. I stand by that.
There's 301 times in the history of this country that happened. That's still small. I think that's still small.
Yeah, it's still pretty small compared to the number of laws we have.
301 ties breakers compared to how many actual votes that happened. Yeah, that's small. Yeah, 100%. Well, Joe, besides all this, what are we freaking thinking about?
Oh, there is a great show on Netflix that is back. It is called Arcane. It's an animated show. It's based on the League of Legends video game. And the first season was fantastic. Really, really enjoyed it. Great music, great animation, pretty good story. And then season 2 just started coming out. And they're doing it in the there's this new release format where instead of releasing it all at once or one at a time, what they do is they do 3 episodes a week for like 4 weeks. And it lets you get a little bit of a binge, but also you can kind of have the water cooler chat and anticipate what's next. And I really like that. And so I was actually, that's why I needed 2 minutes. I was still sitting on the couch in my underwear, finishing up the first of the new set of episodes that came out.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So Arcane on Netflix, check it out. It's good. So what about you? What are you freaking thinking about?
I'm a little concerned about Netflix now that you bring it up, because starting in January, WWE Raw is moving to Netflix. With their $1 billion deal and everything.
Oh
and
yeah.
live streaming or live airing WWE Raw, and based on last night's live stream of the
Hell of a
Tyson
stress
Paul, yeah, and didn't go well.
Yep.
It did a lot of fuzzy images, a lot of buffering, especially like they're kind of concerned because I think in December they're doing 2 different NFL team games. So I know a lot of people are concerned on what those games are going to be like. They're concerned on what the Raw is going to look like, and I know a lot of people are questioning, like, is Netflix even capable of doing what they claim to do?
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. Also, I get that Paul won by points, but basically a 27-year-old kid beat up a 58-year-old man. I don't care if you're the baddest man in the planet. You're a 58-year-old dude. Like, I'm sorry. Like, at a certain point, like, like
there wasn't even a knockout. It was just points.
It was points. Yeah. It was a unanimous decision. It was a sanctioned bout. So it is in the record books officially that Jake Paul beat Mike Tyson. It's like
the worst way to lose.
Yeah. I think they said that the time between Mike Tyson's sanctioned bouts was 7,000 days.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, he did. I think he did like a celebrity boxing or a novelty boxing match, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, like an exhibition. But his last true sanctioned bout was 7,000 days ago. So it's like,
wild.
I feel bad for the dude that he wasn't able to, like, get maybe one more win under his belt. But even he said, like, he did it for the money. Right. He did it because he needed to pay bills. His body's not in it anymore. His heart's really not in it anymore. It's just
right.
And
then they had to postpone it because of heart problems.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just one of those things where it's didn't need to happen. No. Did they all make money off of it? Yeah. And if anything, it showed us that Netflix isn't quite ready to stream things live yet. So
yeah. So now they know that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know that I actually hoped for it, because it'd be really messed up to see it live on TV on Netflix. But like, I was hoping they'd kill each other just a little bit.
You know what? I wouldn't mind.
I mean, one of them more than the other. I was kind of, I wanted Tyson to win. I don't like Logan Paul that much, or whichever Paul he is.
Yeah, I wanted to see
Paul.
Tyson knock him out. I 100% want Tyson,
yeah.
Especially like there was one slow motion recap where like I think Tyson got like an uppercut in, and Jake just kind of stared at him with his tongue hanging out and everything. I'm like, motherfucker, like, have some respect for the dude. Like, yeah. I get that your whole persona is you are a piece of shit and an asshole, but come on, you begged Tyson for this match. He's giving it to you at 58 years old. It's like, just, it's just, no. I mean, dude, it's like it's like if Michael like just went up to Carl one day and said, "Hey, let's have it out."
Right. I'm dead now.
Yeah.
Look at me.
This is my family now. Yeah, it was interesting to watch. I mean, the women bout beforehand was absolutely fantastic. I mean, good on them for being like the semi-main event. That was my first time ever watching boxing, and it was good. So I'm glad that Tyson's gonna kind of just take a step back and just be himself. I think he even said like he doesn't want to be a bad guy anymore. He wants to smoke weed and eat mushrooms. Like, that's what he wants to do now. It's like, yeah, live your life, Tyson. You've gone through enough, some bad things. He's still kind of a monster in some people's eyes, So, but yeah, just go hang out with your tigers and your faded face tattoo. You're fine.
Yeah, all of the promotional stuff where he's like talking about how there's 2 Mike Tysons in his head and one of them's a murderer, and he tries to hold that one back all the time. Yeah. Great, really good marketing.
I know, it's perfect, right? Yeah, we can say this stuff now because he agreed that he's never going to fight again, so it's okay. He's not going to come at me. So.
Right.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Every week, our listeners can catch Cartoon Joe here on This Freakin Show. But if an hour of Cartoon Joe just isn't enough for our listeners, we're good to go.
If you need more Cartoon Joe, you can find me over the Geekcast Live podcast at violentpress.com. You can also find us on Facebook, iTunes, Spotify, and Blue Sky by searching Geekcast Live.
What is Blue Sky?
It's the new Twitter.
Oh, nice. See, and that's what this world needs. They need to have more social media. You know, rather than the ones that are constantly like monitored. I don't know how it is if they're like monitored, but good for them. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
it's like Twitter used to be. It's a lot of fun. I really like it so far.
You get a blue check mark?
No, I don't want to pay money for that.
Yeah. I like how you can buy them now. You don't even have to earn them. You just buy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Facebook,
I don't know if Blue Sky's going to have that.
I don't know. Facebook keeps messaging me saying like, "This freaking show. Would you like to be verified?" Like, I know who I am. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I saw a notification on Facebook about we have a monetized video over there. That's neat.
Do we?
I don't know. It says we have to split our monetization with whoever wrote the track to some music.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I got the notification last night or this morning.
I did not get a notification about that. I should probably look into that. I know I get a lot of messages on JFW from a bot or a scammer saying that the usage of our content is, you know, this, that, or the other thing, whatever hell it is. And if I go to the page of the person who sent me that message, they sent this message to like a dozen people saying the exact same thing, from bakers to podcasters to cosplayers. And I was like, okay, scammer, cool.
Yep.
Guys, make sure you follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, just by searching This Freakin Show. And of course, you can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. But if you want to watch our podcast, you can do so over at the FreakNet Studios YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe. And shout out to all you guys who love our cemetery vlogs. I appreciate that. It makes me kind of feel slightly that we should do more of them throughout the year. So maybe do the cemetery vlogs during Halloween, but like maybe check out haunted places throughout the year.
Ooh, that could be
We'll
fun.
look into that. Yeah, we'll look into that because we want to do for you guys what we want to give you what you deserve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A chance to pay us money.
There we go. Yeah.
Just kidding.
We're almost at that subscriber mark. So I mean, just keep on, tell your friends to follow us. So guys, that's all I got. As always, I'm Travis C.
And I'm Cartoon Joe.
And thank you for listening to another episode of This Freakin Show. I'm out.